Hello and welcome to the first episode of the BlissScape Developer Commentary. My name is Tim, I'm the owner and developer of BlissScape, and my idea with this series is I'm going to play the server as a normal player. You can see here I'm on this tutorial island, and I'm going to be just kind of playing through the server, talking about not only what I'm doing, but also the kind of development of what I went through to make the content, the decisions I made, the process, and kind of how BlissScape turned into what it is today. The other thing I want to do with this series is hopefully connect with the community a bit more. So the plan is in the comments section of each video, I want you guys to leave any questions that you'll have for me, either general questions about the server or just questions about what I'm doing in the specific episode or anything like that. And then at the beginning of each episode, I'm going to be answering the questions from the previous episode. So obviously this video is the first one, so there's not going to be any questions for this episode, so I'm kind of just going to be talking about what I'm doing as I start. And, in the end, hopefully we'll have some questions for next episode. So make sure to leave those in the comments if you have them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is the tutorial island. The server always starts on the tutorial island, even since the beginning, before we even really had much of a tutorial. The reason I want to do that is I really want to keep the feel of RuneScape, and by starting on the tutorial island, you definitely keep that, even though the tutorial is much shorter and a little different. So over here we've got the Challenge Master and the Group Ironman Manager. That's if you want to join a Group Ironman group or start a challenge account, but I don't want to, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk to this guy. Now, importantly here, since I made the tutorial a little bit longer than it used to be, I made sure to add in that you can skip the tutorial if you've already played on the server. So that's why I'm getting this message here. So I'm just going to go ahead and not skip the tutorial there, just so we can see it and how we'd see it as a new player. So obviously I don't have any way of skipping here, which is what I wanted, because definitely with the older tutorial system, people just tended to just completely skip over it. So I wanted a way that stuff is happening and you kind of have something to look at while you're waiting. So since you can't skip, hopefully you just read it, and this gives just the important details about the server that really you should know before you get started, because they're really just like frequently asked questions that new players are always asking. The other thing I wanted to do with the tutorial is actually physically make you click on the skills here. So I've got some flashing here. So you actually have to click on these to see the teleports before you can move on with the tutorial. And I definitely wanted that in because that is the main system of getting around the server. And not having that in would be tedious, since everyone always asks that. How do you get to this location? How do you get to this location? And then of course here's the Slayer command, and you can actually see the Slayer monsters. And again, all this is happening automatically, so that way you just sit here and read it as you will. There's still, of course, people that don't read it, but hopefully enough people do. So now we get to select our Iron Man mode, and this is where, or game mode, and this is where the tutorial would come in if you skipped, so this interface would come up. This interface, I definitely wanted to make sure that everything was clearly laid out, so that way you knew what it is. So especially this information here, all game modes share the same XP rate. Oh, congratulations. And drop rate. A lot of servers, for some reason, they change the XP rate and drop rates for certain modes, and that makes sense, I guess, if there's certain XP modes, but it doesn't make sense that Iron Man or Hardcore Iron Man would have a different XP rate. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me, but I just wanted to make sure in here that that was said. So we're just going to go ahead and do a normal player. There is information for the rest, and you can even select Skiller and a Hardcore or Iron Man just in general at the same time. And it displays that up here. But we're just going to go ahead and do normal mode because I want to play this as a normal player. So we'll hit confirm, and then we're going to get our starter cash and get sent to the shops. There we go. Any second now. So one thing that I did differently here is I moved, let's turn down the sound effects a little bit. Instead of starting at the home area like most servers, I have you start right at the shops. And the reason for that is most servers, when you join, the first thing you do is go to shops anyway. And if you don't know to use the shops command, then you're kind of just running around, not knowing what to do. So here, Obviously, I wanted to lay out all the shops so that way they've got, they're pretty obvious in which each one is. So that way new players, they can get an immediate start. They can be like, okay, this is obviously magic. It says magic armor. They have the name, and they just a one-click trade for all of them. So it's super simple. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is just get some starter gear, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and just got a little bit of starter gear here. Got 265k left. I gave 1 mil. That just should be enough to get you some starter stuff. I didn't bother buying like iron armor or anything because we're going to level up pretty quick here, so I just got some basic gear here. So obviously one of the main things about BlissScape that makes it so nice is the ability to click on any skill that you want and you'll get all the training locations on where you can train on the server, which is, you'll notice that one thing I really want to push on this server is I didn't want you to have to find the stuff that works. I want the stuff that works to be presented to you, because obviously it's a private server, not everything in the game works, and it's never going to work. But this way you know exactly what does work and how to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Slayer. I always like to start off with Slayer whenever I play a server, which is why I spent so much time on it. So if you go ahead and click here, you can select move to any Slayer Master. However, you can just teleport to a previous Slayer Master. It's kind of a shortcut that I did there. And we're going to go ahead and get a Slayer task. Now, I remember like years and years ago, I played a server that would let you teleport to the last task, to your Slayer task, which was a huge benefit in my opinion, because like I said about stuff not working on private servers, if you get a task of skeletons or dragons or whatever, how are you supposed to know where on the server to find those? Because it's not always the same location as real RuneScape. So that's definitely something I wanted to include here. Now that server back then only had like 5 or 6 Slayer tasks. My server has every single Slayer task, so it was quite a task to actually go in and add the teleport locations to all of them. But once I did, now you can have a quick just teleport right here. I don't even see what my task was, I wasn't paying attention. Minotaurs, so yep, immediately teleport to the Minotaurs, and you can click here and just teleport to your task as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out. You can see my task is right here, I got 16 left. So I'm going to go ahead and do a few tasks and get leveled up. Alright, so I've leveled up a bit here, and I just wanted to come back and talk, because I've had to do it a couple of times now, about some of the commands. So obviously there's the Slayer command, and there's a lot of options for it, like Slayer List, which will show you all the Slayer monsters that you can teleport to, and you can do that. But I've also added some stuff that some people might not even know about. You can do Slayer Task, and it will teleport you directly to your task. I just finished my task, so it's not showing up. But let's just run home here because I'm going to use the altar. Give that a pray. Heal up, and then do Slayer Master, and that will automatically send you to the last Slayer Master you used. So that's just some quick commands, so you don't have to actually type, click in here when you want to do it. So these are my stats so far. I'm only done a couple tasks, so I've still got some stuff to do. But I did get one of these caskets, and these caskets, they're Slayer caskets. You get those when you just whenever you're on a Slayer task, you get them randomly depending on the monster's combat level. But if you open that, I got 2.5 mil from it. So it's like a random number, I believe, between like 500k and 3 million. So that was actually pretty lucky there. So the reason we added this was mainly to make Slayer a bit more profitable, and also to give a way to make money on the server without thieving, because thieving was such good money, because that's the way most of the money comes into the game, that it was like if you wanted money you just did thieving. There's really not much else you could do. So being able to actually make money from Slayer is a much more interesting way to make money, and I think thieving is still actually a little bit faster because it's so consistent, but with Slayer you're also training a lot of other skills and you're getting other drops, so you could actually potentially make more money from it, getting other Slayer drops once you get to a higher level. So it just kind of balanced out the server a little bit, and made another skill that can get you some money. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another task of cows, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so I've been training a bit more here. I started training my range. I'm just about to get level 70. So here are my stats so far. I got mostly 70s. That's kind of my goal just to start off with. I can equip my black d'hide now. Oh, I think I just ran out of knives. Perfect. Okay, so now what I'm planning on doing is doing some dungeoneering. What can I say about dungeoneering? I mean, it was obviously a huge time investment to add to the server, but definitely worth it. You know, for this era of RuneScape, dungeoneering is a huge part of it. And even though, I mean, it was a ton of work, it was it was definitely worth it. It's, you know, it's a lot of fun to play, and you know, there's still some more stuff I can add to it, but at least for the most part, it's pretty much got everything it needs. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this a little bit. I want to get my range up so that way I can range in dungeoneering because I prefer that. It's nice to be able to shoot enemies from a bit farther away. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a few floors, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just made it to floor 6, which means I've unlocked complexity 6, and I got to level 42 dungeoneering, which is fine. I'm actually going to leave right now. I was planning on doing a little bit more, but my run energy is actually running out way faster than I would expect, and I mean, it makes sense. I'm only level 1 agility, so I'm going to get agility up a little bit before I come in here, and then I'm also going to get prayer up a little bit more. I've got 33 from just doing some Slayer. I'm going to get that up until I can use the protection prayers, because that's going to help out with the bosses and stuff. So I never actually mentioned why I'm doing dungeoneering, and that is because of the rewards. There's a few rewards that make doing Slayer and stuff a lot easier. I definitely want at least the Bone Crusher, maybe the Herbicide. That'll be nice. Specifically, the reason I like the Herbicide is because it lets me remove herbs that I don't want to pick up, so I know which ones I can pick up. If I see an herb on the ground, then I'm going to get it. And then eventually Chaotix, but definitely the Bone Crusher, which should be pretty quick. I know I've only got 4,300 tokens so far, but I've only just started. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get my agility up, my prayer up, and then I'm going to come back to dungeoneering. I guess since this is a developer commentary, it makes sense that I'd actually talk about agility a little bit. Although there's not too much to talk about. I mean, it's agility. It's pretty simple. Agility course is actually one of the first things I started working on when I started working on this server. I knew I wanted to have some working agility courses, and they were actually pretty tricky to do just starting out when I'm learning how the server works. Because, like, especially this right here, this is actually like a 3-step agility course. You come in, you play an animation, you walk forward, you play another animation. So it actually took me quite a long time to actually get them working. But now I've got tools and stuff to make it so much easier. So adding the remainder of the agility courses was actually pretty easy. But yeah, that's about it for agility. It's a simple skill, but definitely nice to have. Alright, so unfortunately, apparently if you close out of the client and then open it up again, OBS loses the video, so the last 2 clips I recorded did not have any video, but basically all it was I got 75 agility. I was doing that at the Apatol course, which I like that course a lot. I did that quite a bit in Real RuneScape as well, so it's always fun to go back to that. And then I got 44 prayer. I finished off my Ogre Slayer task, and then I went and got killed a few dragons just to get it up. So now I'm ready to get back to dungeoneering. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch to complexity 1. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that way I can unlock as many floors as possible. You know, since it's a private server, the XP rate is rather high. So I'm already 42 and I've only completed 6 floors. So once I actually do all the complexity 1s, I can pretty much keep going for quite a while. I don't know exactly how far I'll get. Depends on, I guess, how quickly how few times I die and stuff like that. But I'm going to do complexity 1 up until I run out of floors, to where I catch up to my level, and then I'm going to reset and then do some more complexity 1s, and then maybe I'll start doing some C6s. But for now, I am going to end the episode here. If you've watched this long, thank you very much. And remember to leave your comments on the video with any questions for me to answer for the next video. That's about the series, myself, or the server as a whole. So whatever you feel, it's pretty much an open forum. So for that, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.